because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and that Hackensack Meridian Health is here for all your emergency needs. So if you're experiencing heart attack symptoms, such as chest pain and upper body discomfort, shortness of breath, cold sweats, nausea, or lightheadedness, or stroke symptoms, such as balance issues, vision problems, face drooping, arm or leg weakness, or speech difficulty, please call 911 immediately. Our emergency department team is taking special precautions with all patients and created designated areas for the treatment of COVID-19 patients. To learn more about how Hackensack Meridian Health is providing you the best healthcare during this pandemic, visit hackensackmeridianhealth.org/getcarenow. Sponsored by Hackensack University Medical Center Foundation and aired by the New Jersey Broadcasters Association and this station.
Morris County needs our Spanish-speaking community to fill out the 2020 census. It's safe, it's easy, and it's really important. If we are not fully counted, communities in Morris County from all nationalities, races, and ethnic groups will lose federal aid. Less money for housing and child care programs. Less for schools and student lunches. Less for senior citizens. Less for community health care. Competition for federal dollars is fierce. So if you live in Morris County, please fill out your census online or on paper. No one will ask about citizenship, Social Security, bank accounts, or personal info. Help Morris County count in 2020. Do it now. Visit NJ Census 2020. This message sponsored by the County of Morris, the New Jersey Department of State Complete Count Commission, and aired in cooperation with the New Jersey Broadcasters Association and this station.
You're listening to WBWD 540 AM, Islip, New York, a part of Universal Stations, LLC.
The views, opinions, and statements expressed in the following program reflect the views of program contributors and do not necessarily reflect the views of WBWD Radio, its management, or its sponsors. For questions and comments, please send us an email at contact@bali540am.com or visit us at bali540am.com.
Sports Talk New York with your hosts, Mark Rosenman and AJ Carter. Sports Talk New York is sponsored in part by Prince Associates for all your insurance needs, the Phoenix Tube Company, the law firm of Declator Cohen and DePrisco, Solomon Jewelers, and General Needs Charity, serving our homeless veterans with dignity. And now, here are your hosts, Mark and AJ.
And good Sunday evening to you. No, not Mark and AJ. It's just Mark, Ryan, Sherman, Mike Capice with you this Sunday evening. Hope you're enjoying the weekend. Beautiful weather this weekend for sure. Hope you're listening to us out on the car on the AM frequency, or you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube Live. If you are watching us on Facebook or YouTube Live, yeah, this is Marc-Andre Fleury's jersey. It has a little blood because of the bayonet through it. That's got Peter DeBoer's name on it. But yeah, interesting story. We'll get more into that with Russ Cohn a little later. But right now, it's time for the Capco Major League Baseball report. With baseball underway, it means that the warm weather is here, and it's a great time to keep those windows and doors open. Let the fresh air in. Keep the bugs out with a Clearview retractable screen. The Clearview retractable screen system comes with standard with a lifetime warranty and the patented speed reducer, so it will not snap back. You get the luxury of a screen door and a sleek low-profile design without the hassle of a bulky storm door, or sliding screen door. Call 631-440-1100 for free estimates. Purchase a unit and mention Sports Talk New York and get it with free installation. That's 631-440-1100, or visit them at www.clearviewlongisland.com. All right, so the unwritten rule is every Sunday we start our show off with the baseball report. And a couple of people in baseball getting a little upset about the unwritten rule. Listen, I don't have a problem with a guy swinging 3-0 anymore, because you know what? So if he hits a grand slam on 3-1, is that wrong?
No, it's not. It's not wrong at all. And 3-0, if with the unwritten rule was prevalent, everybody threw a fastball. Now pitchers can't be lazy about throwing fastballs on 3-0. And what's the why isn't the rule on the inverse at 0-2? I mean, should pitchers just throw a ball just to be nice? You know, it doesn't work that way. With the way lineups are so dangerous now, and with bullpens being leaky here and there, every run counts at this point. And also the other thing too is the Padres bullpen was kind of scuffling lately at that point. So a 7-run lead might not have been enough for them. I think that's one unwritten rule that needs to just fly out the window. And I think this Tatis thing has exposed it for what it is, which is silly.
So I've seen the way that everyone's kind of responded, and it seems like everyone's on the same page that this is ridiculous. So I don't know if this is so much a problem for baseball, like in general, but just maybe as an optic this week to have this problem of managers and the way even the Padres manager kind of, came out and said, well, we did have the take that sign out there, and usually in a game like this but do you see this as more of a thing that like will slowly get out of the game, or are we going to have to define what these unwritten rules are more so that we all have an understanding?
I think it's slowly phasing out of the game anyway. I mean, the percentage of swings on 3-0 has gone up, I think, from 7 to 9%. So everybody's getting wise to it. I don't think it's something that needs to. I think we can kind of take these unwritten rules as we go and say, well, what still has some use in the game and what really doesn't. And the 3-0 rule, the unwritten rule, doesn't seem to really have any sort of place in today's game. There's just no use to it. If you want to swing. If you're mad about giving up a 3-0 home run, then don't throw a fastball down the middle on 3-0. I mean, what do you want us to tell you? As Todd Frazier would say, pay your mortgage and move on.
Right, exactly. Listen, don't fall behind in the count where you have to get get me over strike. That's the bottom line. You're the pitcher. Exactly. You're in control of the count. You put a hitter in a hitter's count. Let it, whatever happens at that point. All right, let's move over here to the first part of the Subway Series, which has been canceled due to COVID. We still don't know which Met player or coach is the person that tested positive. We still don't know. There's been nothing from Major League Baseball as to when the Mets will resume play. There was a note today that all Met personnel have tested negative, and they were waiting word from Major League Baseball. It's just so strange that we've gone through this scenario so many times, and there's not a standard playbook that states when a player, a coach comes down with a positive test, the protocol is this, and the teams will not play for X amount of days. But it's just it's so strange the way this season's going. So when do you think the Mets will be back and playing?
Considering that the rest of the tests have come back negative, including the players. Including the players and staff that were that stayed back due to the contact tracing, I would say that it's reasonable to hope that they could get back on the field on Tuesday. Now, that's not to say they will get back on the field on Tuesday, but when you look at the more mild cases like the Reds, they got back on the field fairly quickly. I believe that was 4 days. Even the Marlins, they were the first ones through, and that was 8 days. It was really only the Cardinals that had major problems and had to stay off the field for a couple of weeks. So this doesn't seem anywhere near that. So I think I have a feeling we'll see the Mets back on the field on Tuesday or Wednesday.
So how concerned do you think Yankee fans should be about the Tampa Bay Rays? I know we just haven't succeeded against them this year. I know we haven't really talked much about the Yankees up to this point because they've been so successful. But this week it's really, and the week before against the Rays, it really has come back to earth. I mean, the injuries are starting to add up. You see, outings by Paxton, by Tanaka, where I think with Tanaka you expect a few outings like that, but with Paxton it's more of a long-term concern if he's really, rehabbing from this injury, this back injury. How concerned do you think we should be about the Tampa Bay Rays?
Very concerned because the Rays don't have the stature of players that the Yankees do. However, they do have the level of injuries that the Yankees do, and yet they still keep coming back. This is a team you got to shoot them with the silver bullet. You got to drive a stake through their heart to kill them. They've lost Ronnie Chirinos for, I believe, what they're saying is he could be out until 2022 with Tommy John surgery. Chase Anderson's their closer. They just lost him for a good amount of time. But this is a team that's very deep and can come at you in waves. So if I'm the Yankees, absolutely, I'm concerned about them. I like them from the beginning of the year, and I've always thought that was a team that the Yankees should be concerned with. They came back and beat the Blue Jays again today, and they just one pitcher goes through, goes down, they come up with another pitcher that can come up and throw 4 one-hit innings or 4 shutout innings. It's amazing what they're doing. That they're not going to go away.
It's unbelievable the way they've been able to just withstand different changes, and they continue to be competitive. Young, scrappy team. Last question before we let you go. Robinson Cano was on a tear, hitting over 400. If a player bats 400 in a 60-game season, will we still look at it with the same reverences that we used to look at these guys that were hitting 600 at the All-Star break?
No, I don't think you can give the same reference to a 400 hitter this season than you would with, say, a Ted Williams, or even with a George Brett that hit 390 throughout an entire season, or even with even as Tony Gwynn hitting 394 throughout the strike season. No, I don't. I still think it's an accomplishment. I still think it's amazing to hit 400 over 60 games, but it's not on the same level as Ted Williams. I will tell you something that I would look out for. Look at the White Sox and look at how the rate that they're hitting home runs. They're going to, in a 60-game season, their totals are going to be pretty, they're going to look modest, but 15 to 20 home runs in a 60-game season gets to, you're talking about between 40 and 55 home runs over a full season. And they've got 6 guys with an outside shot to do it. Jose Abreu already has 11. You've got Luis Robert, who's getting up there. You've got Tim Anderson has a bunch. So that would be the stat I would look at with more amazement than somebody hitting 400 over a 60-game season.
You got it, Johnny. Johnny, we'll speak to you next week. John Coppinger, heard here each and every week with the Capco Major League Baseball report. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side. NHL goaltender Keith Kinkaid. So keep it tuned right here.
Decolator Cohen & DePrisco, LLP, is pleased to introduce their website, policeofficersrighttosue.com, as an educational and informative site designed to instruct members of the law enforcement community of their civil rights in line-of-duty accidents. Many law enforcement members are not aware of their rights to sue and fail to bring lawsuits within a specific time frame, thereby forfeiting their ability to seek rightful compensation against those parties that cause officers to be injured. PoliceofficersRightToSue.com provides successful past results of line-of-duty lawsuits. These examples range from officers being provided with inadequate equipment, RMP accidents, slip and falls, and station house mishaps. If any law enforcement member has a question regarding a potential lawsuit, they can contact DCD at policeofficersrighttosue.com or at 1-800-901-1LAW. That's policeofficersrighttosue.com or 1-800-901-1LAW.
And welcome back to 540 AM Sports Talk New York. Mark Roseman, Ryan Sherman, Mike Capice with you this Sunday evening. Joining us now is the man who graduated from Sachem High School East, just down the road from the studio here in 2007. He played for the St. Louis Bandits of the North American Hockey League for the 2008-2009 season. In February 2009, he committed to play NCAA Division I hockey for Union College. That April, he was named MVP and Goaltender of the Year after he led the NAHL goaltenders in wins, goals against average, save percentage, and shutouts. After an outstanding sophomore season in which he posted a 25-10-3 record and led the Dutchmen to their first NCAA tournament appearance, he was named AHCA East First Team All-American. He was also named to the All-ECAC Hockey First Team and awarded the Ken Dryden Award as the best goaltender in the ECAC. He signed an entry-level contract with the Devils in April 2011 after his sophomore season with Union. He has appeared in 157 games in the NHL, as well as 2 playoff games. He holds a 65, 56, and 20 record with a under 3 goals against average. It is a pleasure to welcome the pride of Long Island, Keith Kinkaid, to Sports Talk New York. Welcome, Keith.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's doing great. You know, it's interesting because you really started proving yourself as a successful athlete as early as age 5 here on Long Island. In addition to hockey, you also excelled at baseball and lacrosse. Obviously, practicing baseball and lacrosse here on the island is a lot easier than hockey. What were some of the challenges for you at an early age to get enough practice to become a better hockey player?
Yeah, I mean, I think hockey was always, my number one sport. I remember as growing up, I had to drop a sport each year because, it's a little too much and you can't make all the practices. So, obviously, thankful for my parents to, always be available and take me to practice. So I guess it's, you give all the props to them for getting me there.
Was there a specific age where the other two sports did not have the same appeal to you as hockey? And what was it about hockey that won you over from the other two sports?
Well, baseball, I guess, was always third, so it wasn't really that exciting to me to sit in the field and wait for. And I was also pretty young when when I quit. So then came the lacrosse and hockey decision, and then I think I was in St. James at the time, and they said for lacrosse practice right after high school, they said I guess it was either choose hockey or choose lacrosse, and don't come back the next day if you choose the other. So I ended up not coming back to practice, and I still have the tryout to be from that. So.
So growing up on the island, which of the local teams did you root for, and did you have a favorite NHL goaltender?
Yeah, my favorite NHL goaltender was Marty Brodeur, who I had the pleasure of being with a teammate with, so that was kind of surreal. And then I grew up an Islander fan. So
nice. You look at the influx of players from the island in the past 10 to 12 years, and it's pretty impressive. You, Chris Higgins, Matt Gilroy, Charlie McAvoy, Adam Fox, Sonny Milano, Anthony Potato. What do you think the reason is for the rise in Long Islanders making it to the NHL?
It could be a hotbed like lacrosse is here, but there are a few good, age groups here on Long Island. I know the younger group, they have a lot of guys drafted too, so it's maybe just the resources we have on Long Island. There's plenty of rinks, plenty of ways to get on the ice, and, plenty of training out here to, be top level, so got to attribute to that.
We mentioned in the open about your time with the St. Louis Bandits as a USA Junior A in the North American Hockey League. What was the biggest difference you noticed playing under head coach, former NHL defenseman Jeff Brown, and the Summit Center in Chesterfield, as opposed to here on the island?
Well, one, he was really intimidating. Never want to be on the bad side of Jeff Brown. So. But no, I think it was just the opportunity to play elsewhere, play at a higher level, and not that the hockey wasn't good here, but I think at the time it was only tier 3 junior A. So just to get that, I guess, exposure to more colleges, and obviously being coached by a former NHL great didn't hurt either. So
it's interesting because that team also had future New York Ranger Connor Allen, current Washington Capitals center Nick Dowd on it. It would go on to win its third championship in a row, this one in overtime against Paul Baxter's Wenatchee Wild, a game in which midway through the overtime period, you made what Coach Brown called a save for the ages. He then went on to say, I thought it was over. For him to make that save was unbelievable. I've been saying it all year. He is the league MVP. He's been our guy all year, and again, he showed it here. Do you remember that save as well as the feeling when Clinton Borbonis would score the overtime winner to capture the Robinson Cup championship?
Oh, I remember it all. I think we shut them out 5-0 earlier in the tournament, so I guess we were a little surprised. We were finding ourselves in overtime. But, they were a great team. I think Nick Dowd, who was on our team to start the season, ended up on their team, so it was more of a redemption, revenge against his old team. But it was the feeling of making that save was great, and we props to our team. We could usually outscore any team on any given night. So, and they were really good defensively. So it was a great year all around for me and the guys.
So from there, you move on to play for Union College of the ECAC hockey from 2009 to 2011. What went into the decision-making process as to where to play college hockey, and what were some of the other choices, and what made Union and Coach Nathan Lehman and then assistant coach, who's now the head coach, Rick Bennett, the right fit for you?
Yeah, I think they, first and foremost, when you're looking, you want to look to play right away. So I think they gave me the option to, at least split, half the season. Obviously, you have to earn your ice time. I remember my first weekend, I didn't even get a sniff, so I was kind of a little confused and upset. But, the campus, the way they lure you in there is just amazing. It's beautiful there. They have great academics, and obviously, being the number one D1 team on, the only D1 team on campus was also a pretty good reason to go.
All of those factors contribute to your success as a freshman. You're named the ECAC All-Rookie Team, third team, and in your sophomore season, you go 25-10-3, leading the Dutchmen to their first NCAA tournament appearance. We mentioned in the Open, the Ken Dryden Award is the best goaltender in the ECAC. Was there a point in those 2 seasons where you actually felt at that point that the NHL was within your reach?
Yeah, at the time he was my financial advisor, but he now my agent ever since. So he was always keeping me in the loop with the interest and whatnot. You know, I think I said to myself, I really wanted to I wanted to do as least classes as I could in college. You know, you could always go back to school after, but you never miss out on this you know, opportunity to follow your dream. But you know, we had a great team both years, and we got better each year I was there. And obviously, you see, I think they made the Frozen Four the year after. So they did a great job recruiting there. But like Nate Lehman and you know Bennett, they've always been so supportive of me each and every way, starting from there in the recruiting process. So just all the more reason to commit to them.
Keith, this is Ryan Sherman. So I would love to know, and as one of the many rare people who's played hockey at a high level, all the way from one of the best, you know, junior programs in the U.S. to Division I hockey to the AHL to the NHL, for you as a goalie, what changes at each level that you rise up through when you're not out there skating and let's say the guys are getting faster and bigger, but you're in between the pipes and that's still happening, but you need to adjust your game?
Yeah, you know, I think it comes with experience each year. You gain experience each year. I know, even professional, you're still learning. Every year you can learn something new, and every year you can adjust your training off ice, on ice, and whatnot, just to you know stay on top of that and be at the level you need to be. I'm finding each and every year, even last year, there's always challenges, but you just got to be you know, I guess end up on top of those challenges.
So you're not drafted, but you signed with the New Jersey Devils after your sophomore year. What were some of the other teams that made you offers, and do you know who it was from the Devils staff that scouted you and found you?
There were a few other offers. I'm not sure of all the teams that actually, you know, I don't remember all the teams that did send them in. I think a few were like Philly and I think Montreal did, and Ottawa. Those are probably the main ones with the Devils. But I think Lou Lamoureau and you know, Steve Pellegrini, they all had a say for you know getting a look at me each year and you know keeping in contact with my personal whatever financial advisor. Sorry. But you know it was fun to. I think the real factor of going to the Devils was definitely, you know, being able to meet my idol. So that kind of led me to there and being close to home.
Pretty special for sure. October 2011, you get your first call up to the NHL, serve as a backup for Johan Hedberg. However, you don't get to play during those 6 games you're up for. You return to Albany without making your NHL debut at that point. Was there ever a point during those 6 games that you thought you might be going in? And how did that short call up get you ready for the eventual, you know, real call up when you would start playing games?
Yeah, you know, you always hope, but you gotta, you know, be patient. I know early in my career, I wanted to make it up there right away, but now I am thankful for my 3 years in the AHL before I did eventually make my first start. Goalies take time, you know, everyone takes time. So I was very thankful for that, and yeah, sorry.
All right. So you make your NHL debut March 5th, 2013, after Hedberg gives up 3 goals on the first 11 shots versus Tampa Bay. And at the 13-13 mark of the second period, Coach Peter DeBoer looks down the bench, gives you the look, not the look that he probably is giving Marc-Andre Fleury right now, but he gives you the look down the bench. And what do you remember about that moment?
I think my first instinct was, where's my neck guard? I took off my neck guard that game, and that was kind of the first time in those string of games that I was backing up. Of course, it happens like that. But then our equipment manager, Jason, you know, he got all the stuff for me, and kind of like didn't know what to do. I was a little shaky, and I go past Hedberg, and he just gives a few words of encouragement, and there I am, I guess, facing Steven Stamkos on a breakaway.
Yeah, early in the third.
That's kind of when I got into a little, wow, you made it.
Yeah,
So, that was fun.
was wild. You had the crowd buzzing on that stop of the breakaway. But it's also interesting because when you go in that game, it actually took 12 minutes until you faced your first shot. I have to imagine those 12 minutes must have seemed like a lifetime. Do you remember who you made your first save against?
I do not, but that's Devils hockey. If you
Right,
ever seen it, yeah, shot. So no, I don't remember. I remember who scored the first goal, and it was Nate Thompson. And I finally got to tell him this past year, which he didn't even remember. I guess too many goals scored. So I showed him the video at dinner, and he laughed.
First save was against Sammy Salos. Not bad, but
wow.
Right. So it wasn't until 2014-15 till you're back and you earned your first NHL career win, December 19th, again against Tampa Bay. You're also the only goaltender in NHL history to have each of his first starts go to a shootout. What do you remember most about that first win?
Yeah, well, you mentioned the shootout. I was like, oh, not again. Two previous ones didn't go well, so no, it was just a relief. And I remember, it was one of the guys that was in the minors. I think it was Gianta or Sestito, came up and rushed to me after that. But I think the celebration by me said it all. It was a long time coming.
So over the course of your career, you've been pretty good in shootouts as well, stopping 29 of the 46 attempts. Who was the toughest player to stop in the shootout for you?
I'd have to say my first shootout against Kane and Taves. They just won the shootout 2-0. Not even a shot for my team, unfortunately. But they're just so talented. And, the hands on Pat Kane are just tremendous. So that's probably my most the hardest ones to stop because I had no shot if you go back and look at it.
Yeah, that's a tough 1-2 combination. I know that Marty Brodeur just he had nightmares of Franz Nielsen. He said no matter what, the guy just owned him. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's one guy. I think that was my second shootout. We played the Islanders, and I remember scouting his move and watching him as a fan too. So I was happy to get a piece of that one.
It's funny. It's always the same move too, which is it's like Mariano's pitch. It's coming, but it's still hard to hit.
Yeah, it's like Oshie 3 now.
Right. First 3 seasons with the Devil, you serve as a backup to Corey Schneider. You look at how many backup goalies go on to have really good careers when they're finally elevated to that #1 position. What are some of the things you need to do to serve in that role while still having the goal of being a #1 at some point, whether it be for the Devils or another team?
Can you just explain that one again? Sorry.
What's that?
Can you explain that one again? Sorry.
Oh, I'm saying that most backups when they elevated to a #1 status seem to have really good careers. What do you have to do in the role as a backup, to be able to serve in that capacity but still have that goal of wanting to be a #1 somewhere else or with that team?
It's definitely a challenge each and every day. I know going long stretches without getting a game and having to, be at your highest level, once every 2 weeks, that's tough. But when I was doing that with Corey Schneider, who's an awesome guy, by the way, and he just was always pushing me. I'd push him, and then when you get that chance, you really have to perform, like I said. And everyone wants results. So, but you got to do little things too. Be a good teammate on and off the ice. You got to stay out late and do all the little stuff until you can finally get in that role.
So the last 2 seasons with the Devils, you are the #1. How does coming to the rink differ when you're the #1 goalie of the team as opposed to the backup? Is there a different feeling each and every time you come to the rink knowing that you're the #1 goaltender of your team?
I would say so, yeah. When we made that playoff run, you kind of knew and had a good feeling. You knew you could, if it was a big game, you'd be put in. So you kind of have that chip on your shoulder. And as opposed to, middle of the season, you don't really, you're in a safe spot or way far away. You don't know what's going to come. So definitely different mindset, but it's no excuse to not have the same mindset, being the backup. So you just got to stay level-headed, either or.
In February 25th, 2019, you traded to the Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange for a 2022 fifth-round draft pick for added insurance for the Blue Jackets in case Sergei Bobrovsky or Jonas Korpisalo gets injured. You remain on the roster as a third goalie. You don't make an appearance for Columbus. How tough was that experience for you?
I remember it being really tough, especially, you know, playing 80 games the past 2 seasons, and we were still in the current season. But you know, after all, you just had to make it work. You saw what, you know, the Devils had to move on from me. You know, Blackwood was coming up, and, you know, they really wanted to give him a good look. You know, the guys in Columbus did make it awesome for me. And Manny Legacy, you know, really helped me through a lot. You know, just being there for me, working with me. He was so easy going to get, you know, to work with. So, and then that playoff run that Columbus had to Tampa, that was kind of revenge. I guess revenge for me too, because of the year before when I played 2 playoff games and they didn't go really well against Tampa. So,
right.
Just to be a part of that was fun, and obviously you guys saw this series this year. That was incredible.
Well, yeah, right. So getting back to that series, you know, you were around Corpy a little bit and Torts as well, but that first game of that Tampa Blue Jacket series was just incredible. And Korpisalo's performance, like, you know, I honestly did not have. I just had too much compassion. You know, I got the Zoom link to go to the post game, and you know, at that point, what are you going to ask Corpy? You know, it's not even, you know, fair to put him out there for a press conference after that performance. Have you, as a goalie, ever been involved in, you know, that type of overtime where, you know, you start getting in the 50s and 60s shots against? And what is, you know, what is the pressure at that point as it goes to the 3rd overtime, the 4th overtime, and the 5th?
Yeah, the pizza keeps diminishing at that point. But yeah, I played a college overtime playoff game against I forget who it was against. But we went 5 overtimes and lost, so that was kind of tough. You know, next day trying to go in to play, and you know, I didn't play the next 2 games, and we ended up winning the series. But it was mentally draining, and especially after a loss. But you know, those, like I said, Corpy was just outstanding. Yeah. And you know, he was a great guy when I was with him. So during the playoff run last year for Columbus, we got to really work with each other and get to know each other. He was awesome. So I really feel bad for him. He played lights out this year.
Yeah, it's insane. As a free agent at the end of that season, you signed a 1-year contract with the Montreal Canadiens on day 1 of free agency, July 1st, 2019. After playing 6 games for the Canadiens, which granted may not have been your best, but you only had 1 regulation loss in those games, you're placed on waivers December 2nd, 2019. Were you surprised at how quickly they made that move? And it should be noted that Carey Price was 10-12 at that point as well. And the 2 guys who had been backups since your departure went 3-5. So were you surprised at that?
Yes, I was very surprised. Kind of didn't really know how to act. I didn't think I was playing, you know, that bad. I did have 5 points out of 10 possible, but
right.
You know, the numbers weren't there, and it's a numbers game. You know, you have to perform. Probably a few goals I did want back, but overall, it was definitely a surprise. But you know, life goes on, and you know, eventually, you know, I turned my season around in Charlotte, which, you know, those guys were just tremendous to me. They showed confidence in me and trust, and they helped me through that too. So that was awesome.
Well, you mentioned Charlotte, and that's where it got really strange for me, because I'm surprised that you were unclaimed off of waivers, that they signed you to the AHL affiliate, the Rocket, and it's the first time you're back in the AHL since 2014-15. Then they reassigned you on loan to the Checkers of the AHL, the primary affiliate of the Hurricanes. When the Canadiens originally sent you down to the AHL, did they tell you to go down there and play well, and they'll recall you to work on anything? You know, what did they tell you? And then when they loaned you out to another team, was there any communication?
Yeah. So when I guess they wanted me to just, you know, find my game, and you know, I think at a certain point I did find my game, and nothing happened. So yeah, I don't really want to go into details with that. It wasn't really a good part of my career, so I'm not really excited to talk about that. But when I did get loaned to Charlotte, it was a relief. It was a new start, mentally and in the crease. So you can just look at the stats. I was having a lot more fun with in a place where you're wanted.
Absolutely.
So, in your experience, how much of an ability do you have at the NHL to develop? Like, do you believe that there really is space in the NHL to develop, or do you believe at that level that you're responsible, the team holds you responsible for a certain level? And even in preparation, how much at the NHL, like practice level, as a backup who usually takes a heavier load in practice, is it about the time? Is it about what the team does and their way of really working with the players, or is it individualistic?
I guess it could be individualistic. It could be all the above. There's a certain level of skill with everyone, and it all relative to the person. And obviously a first rounder is going to get a look way quicker than a say an undrafted out of college, and but you just have to perform at the end of the day. Like I said, for me, I know I was a little rushy to try to get up there, but I am thankful for my time and the development time, and to even grow as a person. I know I had a few things to grow up on, so definitely helped me. Probably helps a lot of people.
So you're a free agent again on whatever day free agency starts. It's just totally lost track of the whole NHL calendar here. What have you been doing to be ready for next season? And what do you think would be, I'm not talking specific teams, but what would be the ideal situation for you to want to go to at this point?
Yeah, obviously, just want a good, reset from, last season, and just be in a good situation to, be a regular NHLer each day and prove that. Like I said, whenever that free agency may be, things start picking up a little later. So just hoping for a good situation out of everything, and an opportunity to prove myself that I do still belong to the NHL. That's all I could ask for.
Hey, Keith. As a Sachem graduate myself, what was it like getting your number retired by Sachem?
Oh, that was fun. That was I was kind of surprised at that point. I really hadn't played many NHL games. Just want them to, even retire that. That was pretty cool, especially being number one. I was 1 in 30 during travel too. So obviously I like number one better. Had some good years in Jersey under that, and just be known for something good for your high school is always an honor.
So lastly, looking back at your career to this point, what's your biggest thrill thus far, and what's your biggest disappointment? And are there any specific goals in the game that you still want to accomplish?
I'll start with that one. I think I still want to have that chance to be a number one in the NHL. I do think I still have the ability. I'm working very hard already in the off season. So just really excited for what comes my way. And then sorry, what were the other two?
Biggest thrill and biggest disappointment.
Biggest thrill, I think, was our playoff run with New Jersey when we finally clinched that playoff spot. Florida had been chasing us for games and games, and they seemed like they were never losing. So that was kind of relief to clinch a playoff spot for the first time in 5 years in Devils history. And I'd say biggest disappointment would probably be getting put on waivers and sent down. Kind of can take a toll on you. Kind of come in with a good attitude, but definitely learned a lot from last year, and can apply that to my future.
Awesome, Keith. We appreciate you rescheduling. We had that issue last week, and you were kind enough to make sure you fit us in this week. Thanks so much for your time tonight. We wish you the best of luck next season, just not when you're playing against the Rangers. And we hope to see you for sure back in the NHL next season.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Keith Kinkaid. Quick break on the other side. The Soho Table Hockey NHL report. So keep it tuned right here.
Since 1952, Solomon's Jewelers has been the name to trust on Long Island for jewelry. Solomon's Jewelers is a 60-year-old family-owned business run by jewelry professionals and Gemological Institute of America graduates. 3 generations of experience let them offer you certified appraisals. They have a highly skilled design, repair, and watchmaker staff on premises for all your restyling needs. Solomon Jewelers offers a wide variety of magnificent designer couture jewelry, name brand watches, and certified diamonds. Solomon Jewelers pride themselves on having the best customer service and support in the jewelry industry. They are there with 60 years of experience behind them to help educate and guide you through every step of your jewelry purchase. Solomon Jewelers has 2 convenient locations to serve Long Island's jewelry needs. 74 Minetto Hill Plaza, Plainview, New York, or 1030 Willis Avenue, Albertston, New York. Visit them on the web at www.solomonjewelers.com. Solomon Jewelers, serving Long Island since 1952.
Since 1964, Prince Associates' commitment has been to provide customers with the best insurance value and service available while maintaining the highest ethical standards and credibility with their clients, carriers, and the public. Prince Associates Incorporated is an independent insurance agency with a broad range of commercial, personal, life, and health products. Prince Associates has aligned themselves with some of the finest carriers to deliver these products to you. So whether you're a business or an individual, Prince Associates can help. Please visit them on the web at princeins.com for an online quote or call them at 516-822-6550. Tell them Mark and AJ sent you. Prince Associates, meeting your every insurance need since 1964.
And welcome back to 540 AM Sports Talk New York. Mark Roseman, Ryan Sherman, Mike Capice with you this Sunday evening. If you just tuned in, you missed a great half hour with NHL goaltender Keith Kinkaid. Now, don't sweat it. We'll have it up on the podcast tomorrow at some point on the website, which is sportstalknylive.com. And you can find us on SoundCloud, on iTunes, and all the places where you get your podcasts. It's time now for the NHL Report with Russ Cohn. It's sponsored by our friends over at Soho Table Hockey. Before I do the read, I know that Mike now has a Soho Table Hockey game. You enjoying the play?
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of good tournaments.
Which teams are on your game?
The Rangers and the Devils are on.
Oh, nice. All right. Okay. So what's table hockey, you say? Some of us might have grown up with the rod hockey or bubble hockey or even air hockey tables. Soho Table Hockey has embraced the nostalgia of those old tabletop games and designed a whole new board for the future. Handcrafted with designer wood, state-of-the-art playing surface, unbendable rods, energy-absorbing walls. This is a table hockey game that players age 8 to 80 can enjoy. Even better, the exceptional quality and design allows the game to stand up to the intensity of tournaments, which is why Soho Table Hockey is the #1 choice of championship players throughout North America. Visit SohoTableHockey.com to learn more and start your order on a custom game. You can also choose your wood, the center ice logo, and even the team matchups. Go ahead, drop the puck. You'll love Soho Table Hockey so much you won't be able to stop playing. Interestingly enough, Russ Cohn played in a softball tournament that was sponsored by Soho Table Hockey as well over the weekend. How did you do, Russ?
Yeah, I did all right. 0 for 3 with the walk. I put every ball in play, but yeah, we had a tough game. We improved on last year. We scored 2 runs. We gave up fewer runs. I think we lost 12-2.
May I ask?
It was one big inning. That's what killed it.
May I ask, were the teams split up just a little bit differently this year?
They were a little bit different this year, but they still have that great pitcher, and we still were lacking pitching.
And they still had youth, right?
I'm going to fix that next year.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
And they still had all the young guys, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Well, we had a few other young guys, though, that were good. And actually, Howie Carpin, because he's one of the few guys that's actually been playing, I batted him leadoff. He was good. He got a hit in his first at-bat. He made a great play in the field. So he was a nice addition. But we just need a little bit more.
All right.
We'll get it.
All right. So listen, my managerial string, you took over for me this year. I didn't do it this year, but we'll see. Maybe we'll recruit some young guys for next year for sure.
We will.
All right. So let's talk NHL playoffs and what's going on here. First of all, we have a firing already. Team that makes the playoffs, a guy who's had a good regular season record. Interestingly enough, you take a look at how many times Trotz failed in the playoffs with the Capitals and how they kept going back to him and back to him. Why do you think Reardon got the axe so quickly?
I think the issue was, and this is going back to last year, that there were just big
stretches in the season where the team looked disinterested. And they came into this bubble, and they were disinterested until all of a sudden their backs were against the wall. Then they started playing their hockey a little bit. That's a problem. And then that's what everybody saw, and that's why he's getting fired. That's why he got fired. I just don't ever think he lit the right fire under them. The big thing was, and I think this is the mistake that the Capitals made, was Trotz left such a big imprint that you really should have gone outside and not gotten a Trotz guy. Because you saw at the end of the game with Trotz shaking hands with everybody and hugging everybody, a lot of them are still Trotz guys. That's bad. You don't do that in management and in business. You shouldn't have done it in management and hockey.
Well, there's two schools of thought there, Russ. Number one is, Trotz had them. They won a Stanley Cup with his system. They weren't going to give him the big money. And if you're looking at corporate structure, they figure, all right, this guy is a disciple of him. He's going to have the same system that we were successful with. I just don't think you're right. I think the motivation factor was not there. And I think Trotz had, a little cachet with the players because he's been there so long and he's well respected. You have a younger guy who's an assistant. I'm pretty sure that team is, lives and dies with Ovechkin. He's the guy that they all look up to. I don't think it's the coach. And sometimes when you have a superstar like that, maybe you need that veteran coach to bring them in line, or maybe even bring the grade 8 in line.
Yeah, I think with a veteran team, they needed a veteran coach for sure. That's a really good point.
All right, so I was going to go on a little bit of a rant this week about Matt Barzal, and I think it was the Game 4 game, the closeout game, that they may have finished it out. They did not start that second period well, but they end up winning the series, and Matt Barzal plays well in the next game. Now I want to talk about Milan Lucic and the fact that the Flames were up 3-0, and he just starts taking penalties left and right. What is going on, do you think, in the GM's head there? I know he's still under contract, but he's an aging player, and that was it was bad. It was very, very bad.
If it's fiscally feasible, they would buy him out, but I think they may be stuck with him for another year. But this is Milan Lucic. Even when you're getting good play out of him, he makes boneheaded mistakes. Right. I mean, dumping somebody into your own goalie when you have the momentum in the game was just beyond stupid, and then he gets another one after that. Yeah, he definitely took them out of it. He definitely opened the door. That was actually the first time any NHL team made a comeback like that, scoring, like being down 3-0, scoring like the next 5 goals before the second period ended. Like that was crazy, and it just was an avalanche. And this is why Lucic, nobody really wants him on the team, because they used to put up with it in Boston because he would get points and he'd beat guys up. Now he's, beating guys up and not getting that many points. Now you don't really want to put up with it anymore.
All right, let's take a look at these series right now. You got the Flyers versus the Islanders, the number 1 seed versus number 6 seed. The Islanders really looked very, it's hard to say. I mean, you said that Washington did not look motivated in the bubble in the series, but some of that you have to give credit to the Islanders' stifling defense. They really didn't give them anywhere to move. What do the Flyers have different to combat that than the Capitals did? Why won't the Islanders beat the Flyers?
Well, it's a lot of things. And yesterday, it's funny, I was talking a lot of Islanders with the guys and Lafreniere, as you could expect, but they know I cover the Flyers too. So what I see differently is Carter Hart gets the edge over Varlamov just because he's a little steadier. Varlamov can play at his level, there's no question about it, but there still was that moment in playoffs where Varlamov wasn't at the top of his game. Look, Hart had a couple not great games either, but he did lock down when he needed to. So I give them that little edge. Both power plays stink. They're both horrible. The Flyers was a little better only because they had a 5-minute major, and you have to pretty much score on that. But then after that, they sort of started to struggle a little bit again on the power play. So I don't like either power play, but both of them could do a lot better. They have personnel. It's just neither of them has clicked. Islanders are better down the middle with their centers. Pajot has really come on, and that's been a big help. So between that and Nelson, that's a really good thing. They're probably going to match up Giroux again on center to try and combat that. So that'll be an edge for the Islanders, and I give the Islanders the edge on team defense. But I think at the end of the day, Hart is probably going to be the difference here. But I see it going 7. I see Trotz playing the long game here, and and trying to suffocate the Flyers, and I think they'll be able to do that to some degree because The Flyers had trouble with that with Montreal, and I think Trotz will improve on that. But at the end of the day, I just don't know if the Islanders will come up with enough big goals. I know they showed more offense in the last few games. They're going to have to keep that going if they want to win. But I still think Flyers in 7.
Other series, Tampa Bay Lightning versus Boston Bruins. Boston Bruins are going to have a former New York Islander goaltender in net. They did well. They moved on. Tampa Bay also did what they needed to do. What do you see in this series?
Dirty, physical. Tampa rolls 4 lines, I think, even better than the Bruins. The Bruins, you can make an argument. Maybe they have 2 lines now that could score. Maybe. I still think it's like 1.5. And then the 4th line's really good, but it doesn't always put up points. I think the difference here, again, is going to be goaltending. I think while Jaro Halak has been really good for Boston, he has no safety net now.
Right.
He's never really played without that safety net other than the one game where that Rask isn't going to be there and nobody's coming in and they're not bringing anybody in. And I think all Halak has to do is have one bad game in this series, and I think his team is out. As good as the Bruins are, Tampa can match them in just about every way. If you want to say Bergeron's the best guy on the ice, fine. But look at Braden Point. He's like Bergeron 2.0. So, end of the day, I still lean with Tampa in 6 just because I don't think Halak will be able to bring it like some people think.
Another series now with a former New York Islander goaltender who is in there with a lot of, controversy going on there. Hey, worst time of year for this to happen. It's not the player, it's his agent. Really unfortunate. He did address it today in a press conference. What do you make of the Knights and the fact that Marc-Andre Fleury is not playing in this series when he's got, similar to if Hank had, if Shesterkin had not gotten injured and played poorly, you always go back to the numbers and say, well, Henrik had great numbers. DeBoer is not going by the numbers. He went with his goalie. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, he is 7-1, right? Leonard's 7-1. It's hard to go against that, no matter how you want to slice it. Fleury never wants to be the center of attention unless you're talking about the game and how he's playing. And I felt really bad for him, for Alan Walsh to have that meme up there. That was just unprofessional. And Fleury asked him to delete it. He deleted it, but it became a thing, and that's bad. You don't ever want that to be on your player like that and have to answer for it. End of the day, though, I just look at this, and I think Vancouver's done a really nice job, and I love Quinn Hughes, Besser. There's a lot of good players there. Virtanen's starting to come on, but Edler's a little banged up. Myers is a little banged up. I think Stone and Pacioretty are going to punch these guys in the mouth. I don't know if they're going to have an answer for that. St. Louis, again, they seemed like another team that was unmotivated, and Binnington wasn't up to the task this time. So I think they're going to have much steeper competition here. I think Vegas's defense is a lot better than it was with Martinez. Whitecloud is a nice free agent signing for them. He's been coming on. I watched him in college. And so I like Vegas in 6 simply because I think they're just going to play that heavier game that I think Vancouver's defense is going to have a hard time with.
All right, lastly, in about 30 seconds, we got the other, matchup is Colorado versus Dallas. Who are you taking in that? Dallas has the 1-0 lead at this point.
Yeah, Dallas jumped on them. They did a nice job. I think Colorado could find the weaknesses in Hudobin by doing a few more wraparounds. And if Eric Johnson doesn't come back, we might see Connor Timmins, or we might see Bowen Byram, and they may get a Kel McCarr kind of effect from last year. So I still like the Avs in 6, but I appreciate what Dallas has done the last 3 or 4 games. They've really woken up.
Awesome, Russ. Thanks so much. Russ Cohn here each and every week with the NHL Report. We shift from the ice to the hardwood. It's time for the Disaster Cleanup Services NBA Report with Chaim Tauber. If your property has been affected by water or fire damage, look no further than the professionals at Disaster Cleanup Services. Independently owned and operated, Disaster Cleanup Services is the tri-state leader in property damage cleanup, specializing in water and fire damage restoration, mold remediation, sewage cleanup and decontamination, lead and asbestos abatement, and much more. For more information, visit their website, www.4disasters.com. Call today, mention the Sports Talk New York show for a free in-home inspection at 1-800-297-WATER. That's 1-800-297-9283. Disasters happen. Let them clean it up. All right, Chaim, actually, AJ, too bad AJ's not here today, all right? No hockey in the afternoon, all right? No baseball for me. Mets and Yankees postponed. So I actually watched the NBA on ABC. And I have to tell you, it was pretty cool. The camera angles and what they did with the virtual fans, including Steph Curry. And it was a pretty compelling game. And this is the one we talked about last week, the series I really wanted to see, because it was those 2 teams that 2 or 3 years ago were the young teams with the rebuild. But, man, Embiid looked to me was getting beat up. But what did you see in that series that allowed the Boston Celtics to just sweep the 76ers out in that round?
Well, first of all, Mark, pleasure talking basketball with you. I never thought we'd get here. I mean, there's a lot going on in Philadelphia right now. Put aside for the second the fact that Ben Simmons was kind of a scratch. This is a team that the worst kept secret in the league is that Brett Brown is not going to be returning as the head coach next year.
You think?
Josh Richardson had comments to make after the game about the coach and not being able to hold players accountable. And this is the team that's kind of gotten the reputation for on the court being, on paper, being stacked, especially when they had a 4 all-star starting 5. But somehow they just didn't have either the tenacity, the mental toughness, the fortitude, whatever it was that it took to really handle the playoff atmosphere. Joel Embiid was the only guy who really wasn't underperforming. Everybody else was a mess. You had sloppy ball play, and there was just a complete lack of discipline for a team that does not play cohesively. Now, there are also issues in terms of the team's construction, not anything new, but things that have gotten exposed over the course of this series. And Boston's a team that, I mean, yeah, you call it a rebuild, but when you had a Jason Tatum at the top of the draft and the Markelle Fultz trade, you had Jaylen Brown next year. You were able to let Terry Rozier walk and let Irving, Kemba Walker, and Gordon Hayward. It's not much of a rebuild. The Boston Celtics were perpetually right there at, not the bottom, and they are the best.
Yeah, I mean, the one guy on the 76ers I kind of like because he's local, Tobias Harris. I felt he played okay. He got knocked around, and then the second half he wasn't the same. But it was, for me, it was an interesting game to watch, for sure, and an interesting series. We got like 2 minutes before we let you go. What is the other series that you think everyone should keep their eye on right now?
I don't know if there's any one series that's stuck out, because right now this sounds crazy, and I think there are storylines. I think Luka Doncic is cementing himself as, the next face of the NBA. Well, LeBron's doing his on spot, and I'm writing him off too early. For Kevin Durant, that Luka, it's not his birthday. For Luka, it was Damian Lillard. There are indisputable displays of breakfast. I'm going to TJ Warren come over.
Yeah, connection is bad, and we're going to break now anyway. But yeah, I tell you, I did watch the NBA, and it was interesting. I like the new camera angles because now there's no one in their way with the court and everything, so it's cool. You're getting some really cool close-ups and just awesome the angles. Yeah, it was different, and it drew me in immediately. The second I turned it on, it seemed like it was even ultra high def. Something was different about the broadcast for sure. All right, quick break on the other side. We're going to speak to 2009 world champion from the New York Yankees, Joba Chamberlain. So keep it tuned right here.
The views, opinions, and statements expressed in the preceding program reflect the views of program contributors and do not necessarily reflect the views of WBWD Radio, its management, or its sponsors. For questions and comments, please send us an email at contact@bali540am.com or visit us at bali540am.com.
Hello, this is Bob Garrett, CEO of Hackensack Meridian Health. Through its devastating spread, COVID-19 has touched all of us, leaving an impact on every facet of our lives. I'm so proud of the way Hackensack Meridian Health has mobilized to fight this outbreak. Our team members on the front lines fight tenaciously every day for the health of our patients and community. For us, this fight is personal. We are not only treating your families, but our own families as well. And while many things about COVID-19 remain uncertain, I am certain that together we will win this battle. If you can, please help our patients, our healthcare heroes, and our researchers by making a donation to our COVID-19 response fund. You can learn more at hackensackmeridianhealth.org/COVID-19. Sponsored by the Hackensack University Medical Center Foundation and aired by the New Jersey Broadcasters Association and this station.
Is a friend or loved one's gambling problem affecting your life emotionally, spiritually, or financially? Do you yourself take a toll on the people around you due to a gambling issue? Have the conversation. Visit 800gambler.org for access to a new video on the family, various programs, services, and resources for disordered gamblers, their friends, and or loved ones. At 800gambler, we offer support, treatment, and hope. We're just a phone call or click away. This message sponsored by the Council on Compulsive Gambling in New Jersey, the New Jersey Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Cap off a weekend of watching sports by talking about it with Mark Rosenman and AJ Carter on Sports Talk New York. All the intelligent conversation, insightful interviews, and reporters covering every story is right here on 540 AM from 7 to 8:30 Sunday nights. Check out sportstalknylive.com for previews of upcoming guests and visit their Facebook page for a chance to win prizes. Sports Talk New York, Sunday nights from 7 to 8:30 on 540 AM.
Morris County needs everyone, and especially our Spanish-speaking community, to fill out the 2020 census. It's safe, it's easy, and it's really important. If we are not fully, all nationalities, races, and ethnic groups will lose federal aid. Less money for housing and child care programs, less for schools and student lunches, less for senior citizens, less for community health care. Competition for federal dollars is fierce. So if you live in Morris County, please fill out your census online or on paper. No one will ask about citizenship, social security, bank accounts, or personal info. Help Morris County count in 2020. Do it now. Visit NJ Census 2020. This message sponsored by the County of Morris, the New Jersey Department of State Complete Count Commission, and aired in cooperation with the New Jersey Broadcasters Association and this station.
In the wake of the coronavirus, many schools and colleges are utilizing distance learning. While distance learning may be the best way to keep students and school staff safe, students and educators alike will surely miss the personal interactions and social opportunities that take place in regular school settings. Here are some ways to make the most of distance learning. First of all, stay on a schedule. It's easy to put things off when you work from home. Get up, get dressed, and keep regular lunch breaks. Make time for online social interactions. Students can create study groups that can meet online to review lessons and ask questions. Get up and move. Take a break every hour to take a walk around the house. Drink some water and wash your hands. Stay alert and practice healthy habits. Eat dinner as a family. Talk about what you learned each day. Keep a regular sleep schedule. It's easy to get off track and stay up late watching television or playing video games when you don't have to leave the house. Remember, it's still a school day. This message is sponsored by the New Jersey Education Association, the New Jersey Broadcasters Association, and this station.
You're listening to WBWD 540 AM, Islip, New York, a part of Universal Stations, LLC.
The views, opinions, and statements expressed in the following program reflect the views of program contributors and do not necessarily reflect the views of WBWD Radio, its management, or its sponsors. For questions and comments, please send us an email at contact@bali540am.com or visit us at bali540am.com.
Hi, I'm Howie Rose, and you're listening to Mark and AJ on 540 Sports Talk New York.
The third baseman, number 11, Mark Rosenman.
And welcome back to 540 AM Sports Talk New York. Mark Rosenman, Ryan Sherman, Mike Capice with you this Sunday evening. Hope you're enjoying the show thus far, and keep it tuned here because we got more great content coming up. Joining us now is a man who played his college baseball for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, where he helped the Cornhuskers reach the 2005 College World Series. He helped lead Nebraska to its first College World Series win. He had a 10-2 win-loss record with a 2.81 ERA for the year, and his 2005 stats included 5 double-digit strikeout games. New York Yankees selected him in the first round of the 2006 Major League Baseball draft. He made his Major League Baseball debut in 2007 as a relief pitcher during the Yankees' run to the postseason. It is a thrill to welcome Justin Lewis, a.k.a. Joba Chamberlain, to Sports Talk New York. Welcome, Joba.
What's going on, guys?
Nothing much. So, Justin Lewis is your given name. When and how did you become Joba?
Well, actually, nobody even knew that was my real name until my dad put it in senior monologue my senior year. It was, I got it right. I was a few months old. We went back to the reservation so that I could meet my family. And my uncle had just adopted a little girl, and she couldn't say my cousin's name, which was Joshua, and said something that sounded like Java. My parents weren't Star Wars fans, so I really, honestly, that's what, I wish I had a cooler story, but that's kind of it.
Seriously, of all the Star Wars characters, you wouldn't want to be named after Jabba the Hutt, that's for sure.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I've actually, still to this day, I've still never seen a Star Wars.
Really? Wow.
Never.
Oh, you know what? We're gonna have to buy him the DVD set and send it to him. DVD set. Seriously, I mean, it's unbelievable to say that I'm dating myself when I mention DVDs, but like, no one even has a DVD player anymore unless it's on their PS4.
He needs a Disney Plus subscription.
Right, exactly.
He might have one.
Right. Wow. So you're a star at Lincoln Northeast High School, where you're a second-team Super State honors from the Lincoln Journal-Star, going 3-2 with a 3.35 ERA, striking out 29 in 31.1 innings as a senior. What impact did your high school coaches Bill Flagler and Doug Clattenberger have on you?
I think it just from day one, it was always just the passion that they've had for the game, and just how you could tell it was something that they loved to do. It wasn't a job. It wasn't something that they took lightly. And Coach K was one of the reasons why I went to Nebraska my sophomore year. He was really good friends with Rob Childress, and kind of said take a chance in that. But I think those guys just instilled just the routine of doing the small things, getting those done, and just the passion for the game. And I think it just as you get older and to see those guys that have been doing it for so long, just to see the passion, it definitely rubs off on you.
Aside from being a star baseball player, you're also involved in 2 high school musical productions, West Side Story and Footloose. What roles did you have in those productions, and how would you rate yourself as a stage actor?
It was awesome. It was definitely something different. It was one of those things my dad said, if you do sports, that's one thing, but you have to do something else or you got to get a job. So we always loved music, and I was like, well, that's better than getting a job. So no, it was West Side. I love doing musicals, but I hate doing stage makeup. I was always the last one to go because I had to put the eye stuff on. I was bad.
Which roles did you have in those plays?
I was just I was a shark in West Side Story, and then in Footloose was just kind of the background. I think I had a dance solo, I think, with a girl I grew up with. So it was interesting.
So now it's unfortunate for me because now I have that visual of you being a shark in the scene where they're all snapping their fingers and crisscrossing their feet. It's like da 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 da.
Oh yeah, no, we did all. We were actually one of the few schools my senior year, because Footloose was still in production, so we had to get permission to even do it. So we couldn't film or do anything like we did with the previous ones. So there might be one video evidence of that dance solo, but I have no idea where it's at.
Wow. That instantly had to make you Susan Waltman.
Sure, we definitely did it a lot.
All right, so we mentioned your success at the for the Cornhusker team that reached the 2005 World Series. That season under Mike Anderson, it went 57-15, the best in school history. Many players, including Alex Gordon, went on to play pro ball. The brother of the Mets, Brandon Nimmo, Bryce Nimmo, was on that team. What about that program and Mike allowed that team to be so good?
I think if going back looking at it, I think 80% of our roster was from Nebraska. I mean, our weekend staff was Lincoln, Grand Island, and Omaha. And when you go back and look at that team, it was just a bunch of guys that loved playing the game. I mean, when you go around and your catcher is a kid you played with, growing up, and then Alex and I grew up together, played travel ball together, did all that stuff. So just those relationships, and you've always, you traveled, and so you got to know these guys and play against them. So I think it was just the camaraderie. Everybody was one common goal. And we all grew up there. We all seen how close they had gotten, and we wanted to be that team to, kind of make the next step for the program.
So you're drafted 41st overall by the Yankees in the 2006 Major League Baseball draft. Take us back to draft day and what you remember most about it.
Well, it was a long day because I just had my son, so I was walking him around my baby Bjorn. And so just, the phone calls are going, you're supposed to go here, you might get drafted here. Well, they'll take you at this time. Well, then you just kind of wait. And we didn't really have what they have today as far as the draft goes during normal years. So it was kind of just on my phone and walking my son back and forth and then just checking the computer. And then finally once we got the call and the Yankees drafted, then it was kind of the media circus of going, down to school and doing the interviews with everybody, and just being, obviously excited to be drafted by such a storied franchise.
It's interesting because before you even step foot in the Yankees Advance A complex in Tampa, Baseball America had you ranked as the 4th best prospect in the pitching-rich Yankee organization, 75th best prospect in Major League Baseball, ranked your fastball as the best in the Yankee farm system. Were you aware of how high of a prospect you were? And when you have that enormous, hype behind you, how much is the pressure to live up to that hype?
You don't really think about it. I mean, you're just excited, to be in that position. I mean, it was getting there, going to Tampa, and then they sent me to Hawaii for a couple months with Ian Kennedy, Mark Melanson, and you just kind of that's my first introduction into pro ball, and it's not a bad place to spend a winter,
right?
But no, I think my goal was originally to get to AA my first year. I thought, if I can get there, that's a great start, and we'll continue to move forward from there. So initially that was my goal, and well, that ended up getting there quick, going to the Futures game, and then getting called up again. And then, I think I spent less than 3 months in the minor leagues before I got the call. So it kind of happened all so fast that I didn't really have time to think about it.
Yeah, it is really amazing because you make your climb up that ladder so quickly. July 24th, 2007, you're promoted to AAA, making your first start the next day, striking out 10 in 5 innings, earning your first AAA victory, and then you're called up pretty soon after that. Were there any managers, whether it be Dave Miley, Tony Franklin, Luis Sojo, or any of the Yankees pitching coaches in the minor league system that really helped set the foundation for you to get to the majors so quickly?
I think Scott Aldred. I had him in Hawaii, and then obviously got to be with him in AA. He was the AA pitching coach, and I think it was just something. He was, first of all, so easy to talk to, and he could get his message across and make me understand it, because I'm a very visual person, and so if you tell me to do something, sometimes it's hard. But he was just so good at breaking everything down, and just was an unbelievable pitching coach and a great man, and it was somebody that I think when I look back on it that I would reach out to him if I was struggling, and he would kind of watch some video and fire back some stuff. So I think he's one that definitely comes to mind.
Joba, this is Ryan Sherman. This is actually really so cool for me because as a kid who grew up going to the Yankee Stadium, we used to be so excited, me and my brothers, to see you play, come out of the pen or get a start. But what I didn't get as a kid was...
Look at Ryan being the fanboy here.
I am. Mark, I don't do this often, but for me, this is pretty cool. We used to go to the stadium and be excited to see Joba come out. So for me, what's kind of funny is that I didn't understand the Joba rules the same way that I did now. So as a kid, you don't understand that they're protecting someone. You want to see your best, one of your favorite players play. But so now looking back on it, with a team with so much, established and respected players, was it somewhat like alienating or just different to be a young player and have this new term, the Joba rules, set around you and kind of handling you with kid gloves?
Well, Ryan, you made me feel really old.
I'm not that old. I'm really not. So don't worry.
You're making me feel old.
Okay, I'm sorry, Joba.
No, honestly, you're just so happy to be in the big leagues. I was 21 years old, and my dream had come true to get to the pinnacle of where it was, especially with the Yankees. And so I didn't really think about it. Shoot, if they had asked me to fold towels, I'll stay in the big leagues. I'd have done whatever. So I think it was just one of those. The competitive side of you gets a little frustrated because obviously you're succeeding. You want to be out there as much as you can, and it was something that we it was just pushed right there. So it was really the only thing I knew. So I didn't know any different. I'd obviously never thrown out of the pen before. So I'm trying to watch guys and put cream on and take an Advil, or I didn't know what to do. So I'm just trying to watch guys and do that. So when I got up there, it was kind of, hey, you throw 1 inning, you're going to have a day off. You throw 2, you're going to have 2 days off. So it was the only thing I really knew. And then as you get older and you become a veteran guy, you can kind of see, the good and bad about it.
It's interesting. As you mentioned, August 7, 2007 is when the Yankees purchased your contract. That day in Tampa, bottom of the 8th inning, the call goes down to the bullpen. You get in, and you realize that dream. You're finally in the majors. Do you remember what it was like coming out of that bullpen for the first time and walking to a major league mound?
Well, we were in Toronto, and we actually cleared benches twice that day. So it was an interesting first day for me. The first time wasn't a good look. I was nervous, and I just happened to be in the bathroom when we cleared benches the first time. So I'm coming out, getting ready to go back to the bullpen, and all of a sudden my pitching coach, Nardi Contreras, he goes, "You better get out there." And I'm like looking at the TV, and I'm like, gosh, this is not the first impression. They run out of the bullpen. Here I am in the bathroom. Now I look like an awful teammate. I'm like, oh, I had some older veteran guys. So that walk back to the bullpen, oh man, they let me have it for sure.
Yeah, it's also interesting because at that time you were one of only 3 active non-Hispanic Native American players in the major leagues. The others being Kyle Loesch and Jacoby Ellsbury. Is that something you're proud of, or is it something that you haven't even given it a second thought?
No, definitely. I mean, Jacoby and I became good friends, and Kyle, and I think it's something that, as natives, we hold close and near and dear to our heart. And obviously, to know my family still lives on the reservation, to know that, there's kids out there that, if you dream, anything can happen. It doesn't matter where you're from, how you come up, but, if you love what you do and you work hard, anything can happen. And I think, being only 3 of us, we took it to heart and we understood what it meant. And, I think it's just one of those things where obviously you want to grow the game and grow it from, every shape, size, color does not matter, but if you dream, you can do it.
It's interesting because another bottom of the 8th that has significance that season is in Game 2 of the 2007 ALDS against the Cleveland Indians. You're on the mound, the Yankees leading 1-0. Suddenly, out of nowhere, there's a swarm of the small midges. You're repeatedly sprayed down with insect repellent, which had no deterrent at all on the midges.
Made it worse.
Yeah, I know you've been asked this probably a million times. Yeah, I mean, but it's got to be asked, like, what is going through your head with all the craziness, and how difficult is it? First of all, forget about a regular season game, but 1-0 in such an important game to try and regain your composure and regain your focus after all that's going on.
Well, I mean, I came in to get Andy out of the inning in the 7th, and there was, normal nighttime bugs, nothing crazy. And then coming back out for the 8th, and this all of a sudden, I'm just like, what is going on here? So they come out, they spray, which, as we now know, it did not work. And so it's just, it's hard enough in that situation. It's your rookie year, you're in the playoffs, it's a big game. And it's hard enough to get out against these guys. They're the best in the world, let alone having a million midges around your face. And you don't really, you're in the moment, so you're trying to stay focused as much as you can. And I remember having a conversation with Derek after, a few years. I was like, man, why didn't you come help? He goes, dude, every time I got closer to the mound, they got worse. I was like, oh, man, thanks. I appreciate that. But they, I guess when I finally saw it on TV, it was bad. And then I was digging them out of my ears and my eyelids, and at the end of the day, I didn't do my job. That was the most frustrating part of it, was the dang bugs.
It's crazy. I'll never forget watching that game. It's like you just couldn't believe it. What was the takeaway from that one season you got to play for Joe Torre?
Just a great man. Obviously an unbelievable name in the game of baseball. And I think it was just, you get to play for hopefully long enough to play for some really good managers, and I was fortunate enough to play for long enough to have some really good managers, most of them which were catchers. But it just, the way he went about his business is just so methodical, but there was always a method to the madness, and it's just, it was awesome to be able to say, you played for him in Old Yankee Stadium, and just the storied history that he has as a player and a manager. So it was awesome. It was one of those things as a baseball fan, you never think you're going to be able to play for a man like that. And, that's your first manager. So it's really cool.
The following season under Joe Girardi, you make the transition from reliever to starter. Of the 385 games you've appeared in the majors, 43 of them have been as a starter. Which of those 2 roles did you enjoy the most at the major league level, and why?
I love them both. The one aspect of being a reliever, you feel like you can help win every day. And as a starter, it's routine driven. It's, you're going to go out there every 5th day and give it everything you got. And, I was always told that the day you pitch should be the easiest day that you have. So, just always kind of took that to heart. And I just, both of them were awesome. I mean, such different adrenaline rushes, and I loved both of them. I loved being able to help us win every day, and then, as a starter, being able to leave it out there for everything you got, because you got 4 more days before you get to do it again. So I loved both aspects of them for different reasons.
2009, you're part of the Yankees World Series win over the Phillies to get in 3 games. How did that postseason experience differ from that of 2007? And do you remember where you were sitting when Mariano gets Shane Victorino to ground out to Robbie Cano for the final out, making you a world champ?
Yeah, I think it was it was a different feel. I mean, 07, these guys have already won. They know what they're doing. But then you got 09, it's a new stadium, new beginnings. We make a bunch of free agent deals. And so a little bit different buzz. And it was just something that felt right. I mean, just when we started getting the walk-off wins, you could kind of feel it. There was a vibe about this is special. This team's really, really good. So, but honestly, I remember trying to record the last out, but I just ran, and I was at the bottom of the stairs, and I was just hoping I didn't get punched in the head by a swinging fist celebrating. So, but I don't really remember much. It just kind of all happened so fast. You run out on the pile to celebrate. It was definitely a cool moment.
So you also get to spend parts of 7 seasons in the bullpen with probably the greatest closer of all time, Mariano Rivera. What were some of the things you saw close up on a day-to-day basis that sets him apart from from everybody else in that particular role?
Well, it just his routine. It didn't matter if it was a boat race. He did the same thing. He grabbed his ball, he stretched, he did his stuff, and there was always something that he told me. He goes, "Remember, you get 8 pitches to warm up when you get in the game." He goes, "So save some here because you don't need to let it all out here. You got to go in the game." So it didn't matter. He never panicked. He never okay, hey, you got the next hitter. Did not matter. He still went out, grabbed his ball, did his stuff, and got his pitches in. There was never a panic. There was never a sense of. There was always a sense of urgency, but not in the urgent hey, I need to hurry up and get this going. So I think it's just the way he was able to always stay calm no matter what situation.
As a pitcher, who has multiple, weapons in his arsenal, you yourself, when you look at Mariano and he's got that one pitch and everyone knows it's coming and they can't hit it. I have to imagine as other pitchers, you have to envy that.
Well, yeah, and it's not that easy. I mean, he made it look easy, but the crazy thing is he always had that little hiccup during the year where he would blow 1 or 2 saves and everybody would lose their minds. Oh, he's done, whatever. And he would always throw a flag around. So I remember one time where he asked me to stand in, and Harkey's catching and he's throwing. And you see it on TV, but until you actually stand in the box and see what that pitch does, it's incredible. It's it literally gets to you, says, "Hold on, I'm going to go ahead and take a left." It's unbelievable.
It's like a Bugs Bunny curve.
It was unbelievable. Like you're playing Xbox, PlayStation. It was crazy. And just to watch him and be able to play catch with him, and then actually, just be in the box, even though it's a flat ground, it's not like he's really going 100%. But when you actually get to see it, it's incredible. And everybody tries to do it. Some are good, some aren't. I'll never forget when they got all over him for at the All-Star game when he was showing Doc how to do it, and I'm like, oh man, Doc's already good enough. Don't let him get another weapon.
Lastly, what are you up to these days? I've seen you a couple times on Major League Baseball Network. I think you're fantastic. Will we see more of you there, and where can people keep up with you on social media?
Hopefully, man. It's just one of those things with. I don't know if normal's ever been a word, but it's definitely not going normal these days. And it's, just adjusting. We're finally started school here. My son's a freshman in high school now. So it's kind of just adjusting to the times and, just enjoying every day that we get. I mean, times are crazy and a lot of things going on. So just be thankful for what you got and just keep going and grinding and having fun and telling the people that you love and go from there. So I think it's just one of those things where it's just you take it day by day and continue to move forward.
So we're kind of even then Joba, because Ryan made you feel old. The fact that your son is now in high school just made me feel. I mean, I am old, so it's I am old. So, but now you've made me feel it. But
I'm sorry about that, Joba.
Hey, I'll get you back one day.
Thanks so much. The only thing that could have been better is if we got you to sing Officer Krupke. That would be the only thing that would have made this interview better. But we appreciate your time tonight.
Maybe next time.
You got it. Thanks so much, Joba. Have a great night, man. Joba Chamberlain, 2009 World Series champ. We'll be back with the NFL report right after this.
The Phoenix Tube Company Incorporated is among the country's leading manufacturers of structural ornamental stainless steel tubing, rectangles, squares, and processed flat bars. The company takes pride in its everyday commitment to quality and customer service. The philosophy of the company has been and continues to be to support the growth of the stainless tube market through distribution and service centers throughout the country. Ornamental and structural stainless steel tubing is used for a wide variety of aesthetic and mechanical products where superior finish and corrosion resistance are required. Some products manufactured include tubing for mirror bracket arms, boat rails and ladders, washroom grab bars, swimming pool rail products, medical equipment, automotive step bars and trimming, as well as structural framing for food processing equipment. For a quote or for more information on how the Phoenix Tube Company can meet your ornamental and structural stainless steel tubing needs, visit them on the web at phoenixtube.com or call them toll-free at 1-800-526-2124.
And welcome back to 540 AM Sports Talk New York. Mark Roseman, Ryan Sherman, Mike Capece with you this Sunday evening into the home stretch, because it's now time for the Just Escape NFL Report with Jay Retcher. Just Escape is back, looking for some fun to do with your friends and family after being stuck in the house for months. Test your problem-solving skills at Just Escape in Massapequa and have an experience like no other. 5 fun and challenging rooms, all varying in difficulty and scare factor. Just Escape is the perfect, unique day out for all ages. Great for corporate and fundraising events and birthday parties, too. Don't forget to use the promo code FINALLY for 20% off your next booking. Visit justscapeli.com to see all of the new safety protocols they've just put in place. Book your room today. That's justscapeli.com. And basically, a guy who's not going to be going with some of his teammates is probably ex-Baltimore Ravens safety Earl Thomas. All right, so this is not the first time Earl Thomas has issues on the field. They're parting ways with the 7-time Pro Bowl safety 2 days after the altercation with Chuck Clark. There's rumblings already. The Cowboys will pick him up. This guy to me, is a perfect fit for the Patriots. But I would love to see. Listen, again, forget about character, because there's not one guy in that NFL that probably, if you dig deep enough, doesn't have some sort of weird issues going on. Where do you think the best landing spot for this guy is? I mean, the guy is a talent, but he seems to be a little bit of a head case as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good point when you bring up with the Patriots. I know Dallas, he's been talking about that for a couple of years with him being a University of Texas product. But, a lot of times, Mark, when you hear about these situations, you go, well, maybe it's the coaching staff or maybe it's the organization. But, hey, we know Baltimore. Baltimore is one of those teams where, no, it's not the organization. It's usually the player. And, when you look at what happened in Seattle, going off the field with the injury and flipping him the bird, it's so crazy how in the last 5 or 6 years, Earl Thomas went from probably a guy that's going to be in Canton one day to a guy that seems like a malcontent. So, yeah, I think, you look at the Cowboys, they did pick up Clinton Dix in the offseason. They got Thompson, former New York Giant. A lot of people remember him, too, and he's actually been outperforming Clinton Dix in training camp from what I've seen. So maybe Dallas, because that's kind of been the team he's been linked to for the last couple of years. But I'm with you, man. This sounds like a perfect deal for the New England Patriots. All those players opting out and them kind of trying to, it's like a perfect fit. Anybody that has any issues with their team, they're either Dallas or New England. I think that's the case again here.
Right, especially Belichick. Belichick loves those type of players because, for some reason he does end up getting them, for the most part, to toe the line and perform for the team. All right, one of the teams you got to look at, have you had a chance to go out and see them practice yet?
I have. 2 times I've been out there already.
And how does Brady look?
Man, I tell you what, for a kid that grew up in Long Island and was kind of born to dislike Brady and all things Boston and the Patriots, for people who are saying, no, man, his arm strength ain't the same. Listen, I've seen Jameis Winston in the last 5 years. I see Tom Brady. I don't see much difference at all. this guy looks rearing and ready to go. He looks to be in great shape. Doesn't even look like he's in his 40s. And with all those great pass catchers he has, not only at the tight end position, but the wide receivers, man, Brady looks good, guys. And him and Gronk, Gronk looks like, he doesn't look like the big old guy that had all the elbow pad and was moving all slow a couple years ago before his retirement. He looks young and refreshed. And if for our fantasy football players out there, look for O.J. Howard. I think this is the year that he really takes the bull by the horns and ends up being a top 5 tight end in the league.
Awesome. Great stuff as always, Jay Retcher here each and every week with the NFL Report. We will see everyone next week. If you missed anything, the podcast the video will be up and the podcast will be up tomorrow. Have a great one, everyone. See you next week.